What are the mental health benefits of fasting? Let's talk about it. Mental health benefits isn't something that you think about like fasting for most people. Not necessarily understood, but it has some well-documented mental health benefits we're going to talk about. Now, I'm on week 7 of my 12-week fasting challenge, which means that I fast for 1 day a week for 12 weeks straight. Right now, I'm about 16 hours into my fast. So let's talk about these mental health benefits. This is a really good reason to fast if you have no other reason, because it's an all-around thing. It helps not just your body, but your mind. So one of the interesting effects of fasting on people who have suffered from anxiety and depression is reduced anxiety and depression. Basically, if you fast, your symptoms are reduced. You're less anxious, you're less depressed. And they don't necessarily understand the full mechanics of this, what causes this to happen and why it works, but they know that it does. If you're someone who suffers from those things, you might consider fasting. But I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Consult your physician before you engage in fasting. Make sure that it's something that's healthy and safe for you. Essentially, when you fast, it resets a lot of your hormones in your body and gets them in a more healthy regulation. We understand this already. Well, they don't necessarily understand the mechanisms that cause fasting to help with things like anxiety and depression, but they see the effects. My theory, and I am no neurologist, I don't study this clinically, we separate in our language hormones and neurotransmitters as 2 different types of chemicals because they do different things, but to the body, they're just chemicals that it secretes in order to get a specific result. So it makes sense that if fasting helps regulate hormones, it would help regulate neurotransmitters as well. In the absence of food, you get an absence of certain types of signals, so it upregulates other signals and causes the benefits with that. It could be having to do with neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. You're definitely getting less dopamine during the fasting week from your food intake, but apparently serotonin levels go up, which is what reduces anxiety and depression. Another way to look at it is it might have something to do with the buildup of junk in the brain and the cells, because autophagy, which is increased by fasting, helps clean out those cells on an individual level, get in the inside, recycle the components so they're all nice and new and fresh, so they function better. Fasting also increases beta hydroxybutyrate, which is used by the brain for fuel, preferential over glucose. It's a better fuel source for the brain, and so your brain operates better. So again, that might cause it to just work better and figure things out. Another thing to keep in mind is discipline. Discipline is like a muscle. So anytime you're engaging like that, something like that, anytime you're doing something you don't want to do, that muscle gets stronger. You develop more endurance, more strength, and you can carry that through to the rest of your life. Another thing to note is that when you go through a hardship in life, you come out the other side and you see a benefit in it, you tend to be more resilient to other hardships. And fasting is kind of a self-imposed hardship where it strengthens your resolve and your ability to face hardships in life and know you're going to come out okay. Anxiety and depression often come from the thoughts and the ideas that you can't come out okay, that you're not going to be okay, that something bad's going to happen or something bad already happened that you'll never recover from. Going through fasting, you're kind of changing that mindset. And by doing it on a regular basis, you ingrain that new mindset. So that's a possibility. Another theory is that people who experience what is potentially a traumatic event, but don't get traumatized, generally speaking, come out of that event okay because they have a feeling of agency. Something bad happened, but at some point they felt like they had control. They had the ability to make a choice to affect the outcome. Fasting mimics that. You're going through something that is difficult, and you have the ability to affect the outcome because you're in control. You decide when you eat. That realization that you have control over your own outcomes, control over your own body and your life also seeps into your mentality, and that could help with anxiety and depression. And lastly, over 100 years ago, it was discovered that people with epilepsy, a brain disorder, who fasted had reductions in the severity and frequency of their seizures. This is actually the impetus for the ketogenic diet. They didn't understand exactly what was going on, but they knew that it worked. And they can't fast constantly because that's called starvation and you die. So they needed to develop a diet that mimicked this fasting effects. And that's where the ketogenic diet got invented, because it mimics the effects of fasting by reducing insulin, by reducing carbohydrate intake. And they found this to be really, really effective for people with epilepsy. Anyway, that's a sidebar. You can look at it on your own. But it's clearly doing something with the brain. Fasting does something to the brain on a neurological level, on a biological level. That is highly beneficial in all kinds of ways. Now, more than likely, it's a combination of all of these factors combined that cause reduction in anxiety and depression with people who fast. Frankly, to me, I'm about the results. So we can theorize about it. We'll let the scientists do the research and figure it out long term. But in the short term, if that's something you struggle with, maybe fasting once a month for a couple of days is something to consider. Consult your physician, your neurologist, your therapist, all those types of people before you embark on this. I am not a doctor. Look into it. There is lots of research on this to find out for yourself whether it might be something that could help you. That's the mental health benefits of fasting that I find. Generally speaking, I am way more clear, focused. My attitude in life is happier. I see better outcomes. I don't ruminate as much. And I just feel like I have more control over my life. So I'm not as moved and swayed. My emotional swings aren't as extreme. Those are the benefits of fasting from the mental health standpoint. Now I got to think of something to talk about for next week 8. I'm running out of things. But anyway, peace. Love y'all. Have a good one.